Okay, so hi guys. For the people who don't know me, my name is Myrmidia and I'm a freelance artist, mainly active on Instagram, and I'm celebrating 300 subscribers on YouTube. Woo! And I decided to do another Q&A, this time, as you can see, with my face. And yeah, I don't really do this, and it's weird. I don't really like to look at the camera. I like to hide behind my artwork and behind my stuff and behind my screen, and I would rather just stay there, please. Why did I do this? This is so weird. So I got your questions right here, and I guess I'll jump right into it. Felly Can Fly is asking, how do you get inspiration to create the pieces and OCs you have, and where does it come from? And this is actually a very interesting question, because a lot of people have asked me, why am I drawing the characters that I do, and why do I call them spirits, and also why do they have a different set amount of eyes? Why do they have horns? Why are they naked? This is not really that easy to answer. For me, the third eye means a lot. Anyone who has read up on what the third eye means, it basically means seeing things that aren't there, seeing things that people hide, seeing things that you can't really see with the eyes that we're giving. And so my characters, my original characters, or what we call OCs, which I call my spirits, most of them are gifted with one additional or multiple additional eyes, and that I'm kind of trying to represent the fact that they are able to see things that we humans can't see, and that their race is kind of a bit more advanced than ours. Like, we are trying to advance, and so we have to face a lot of issues. We have to face hunger, we have to face poverty, we have to face war, and my spirits, or rather the race that my spirits are, they kind of transcended from that specific problem. They don't really know anymore. They had this kind of thing happening to them, but it has been solved so far back in the past that they don't really remember how it feels like to be scared, or to be in war, and they are now facing other problems, and one of those problems is facing longing, which their race hasn't been feeling for a very, very long time, and their eyes are they're kind of connected to this issue, and they're kind of connected to them being transcended and being able to see things that we can't see feelings, see emotions, see thoughts, not really being able to see what you're thinking, but rather see or feel your intentions. And it's kind of hard to explain. I would have to sit down and like think a bit more about how to answer this question, but mainly where I get my inspiration from, and that was the initial question, is basically my own mind and my own imagination. I don't really believe in going on like long searches on like other people's pages and like trying to find something that they are doing and so just copying it. Or I don't really believe in, oh, like last year it was very in to draw witches with a lot of plants, and I didn't really believe in that is the thing I need to do, but I believed in, I'm just going to draw whatever my mind spews out, whatever my mind is trying to tell me. And so my OCs are very much coming from my own imagination, and their story are very much just things that I personally had to deal with in my past, and maybe also a kind of a way of, kind of a bit of therapy for myself, yeah. Another very frequently asked question is, why do I draw my characters naked or half naked, or why am I so open about drawing breasts? And it's very important to say that I distance myself from typical not safe for work artists slash hentai artists slash erotic artists, whatever you want to call them. I don't draw my characters naked because I'm trying to getting people aroused. How can I explain this? So when I started taking drawing a bit more serious, I started doing a lot of live drawing, which is going to a specific class where you have a nude model and you get to draw that nude model in different sessions, which means sometimes you have 2 to 3 minutes to draw them, sometimes just 30 seconds, sometimes you have 15 minutes, sometimes you have an hour, and I've very much started to value go to these kind of lessons, and I occasionally still go to these kind of lessons. I love live drawing, and I absolutely love drawing the naked body. Again, not for erotic reasons, but mainly because I dissect a body or a figure into shapes, and I just absolutely love drawing shapes, drawing curvy shapes. I love how the shapes flow into each other, how a muscle flows into another muscle, and how that makes the skin kind of like bulge or whatever, like you see like a beautiful curve. Or if you look at faces, like I love drawing how this specific area here flows into your face, or like how this neckline here falls into the rest of your body. I really like collarbones. I really like drawing upper bodies. I really like drawing naked bodies in general, and it also kind of ties in closely with how my original characters are not facing the same kind of issues that we do. They don't really face issues like bullying. They don't really face issues like they just don't know what that means to having to cover up, and they don't really know what it means to be ashamed of your own body, because they don't have to face the same kind of issues that we do. They don't face something like anorexia, because a lot of people ask me like, why are you drawing thin women and not curvy women, which is both kind of not really true. I draw very curvy women. I just don't really draw overweight women, mainly because that is my own taste, and I myself have been overweight for a lot of years, and I don't really think it's very healthy. I was very miserable when I was overweight, and I personally, from my own standpoint, like, to everyone their own. If someone is very happy being overweight, that is great, you do you. But for me personally, I do not want to promote something that made me miserable and that made me depressed, and it has also very much to do with my own style. I just love to draw very curvy, very curvy women, but I also love to draw thin women. I love to have some diversity, and same goes with drawing breasts. I love drawing breasts, and I love drawing a lot of different types of breasts. I love the imperfections that come with having breasts, and I don't really believe into the beauty standard that is going on at the moment. And so but again, to everyone their own. If it makes someone else happy, power to them. It's just my very own taste. It's just my very own perspective to this entire topic, and I'm not trying to force my opinion upon other people. It's just a reason why I draw my characters the way I do. Yokuni is asking, how did you get your diploma in 2D and 3D art/animation? Quote, quote, if I remember correctly that you studied that, what were the requirements? For example, I finished apprenticeship. What was the process to get there? So, first of all, hi. It's nice to see another Swiss person following what I'm doing. It's very rare. I hope to meet more Swiss people along my journey, because it's kind of a rarity. So hello. So how my journey started was, I first did an apprenticeship when I was around 20. I started doing an apprenticeship as a graphic artist, which I had to cancel after 2 years because of mental health issues. And it was just impossible to keep doing what I was doing, and I had to take a long break. It almost took me 3 years to get back on track. In those 3 years I was a bit lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and ultimately / eventually I was forced to find a job to earn money, basically. So I just started working at H&M, which I'm not really sure if that was the right thing to do, because I very much regret working for this company. I don't really agree with their policy, and I don't really agree with what they do. And but back then it was very much just a tool to get money, to earn money, and basically afford my living. So when I was working for H&M, I was saving up for a trip to Gamescom in Cologne, and I happened to stumble upon a booth there, which was by a university, a private university called SAE, and I found out that they offer, it's called Game Arts and 2D/3D animation, and that they also offer courses in Zurich. So first of all, I have to say it's a private university, so I had to pay money to be able to go and attend this university. I don't really believe that this is a necessity to be able to start working in the gaming industry, if that's what you're interested in. Mainly the gaming industry is very much interested in a good portfolio. They are interested in you doing personal work, and they're not really that much interested in you having studied game arts or 2D or 3D animation. But if you can afford it, and if you really want to do this, I would recommend doing this. But other than that, I don't think that I would do it again. So I applied for this university knowing that I haven't finished an apprenticeship, and I also did not have anything equal to a level / Matura / Abitur, which was basically a requirement to be able to apply to the school. I decided to just apply with a portfolio. I decided to send them my sketchbook. I decided to code a website and then just write a cover letter to them and explain to them why I really want to study game arts / 2D/3D animation. And so they called me and they told me I can come over and present my sketchbook, which I did, and I got accepted to the university with something called sur-dossier, which basically just means that they found my portfolio impressive, and they wanted me to come and study. So that is not really something that happens a lot. It's not really very common. They offer it, but the chance to be accepted without A level or an apprenticeship is very small. So I was initially planning to do this school and finish with a master's in art. But then after 2 years after finishing my diploma, I realized, working for a gaming company isn't really what I want. For me as a human being, the way I work, I don't really work that well with crunch time. I don't really work that well with other people. I am very much someone who needs to work alone and on her own, and I can't really work in a team. And obviously everyone kind of wants you to be able to work in a team, and I've just had very bad experiences in my past working in teams, and so I decided that isn't really something for me. And I realized that, well, my dream always was to be a freelance artist. I wanted to have my own shop, which I now have. I always wanted to do my own work, and basically I had this drive in me that I want to make people happy with what I do. I want to see people smile when they hold my art, and or make people happy with prints they buy, or just people telling me that they're happy to see me post every day. This is kind of what drives me. This is kind of what keeps me going, and I don't really fit into a classic work environment, so that's why I decided to only do the diploma. Oi Me is asking, what kind of paint do you use? It's so soft and smooth. So the paint that I use, I think I've mentioned it quite a lot, is my absolute favorite watercolor palette, which also happens to be my very first watercolor palette that I've ever purchased. I purchased it around 2 years ago, and it's still doing very well. It's the Van Gogh watercolor palette by Royal Talents. It was quite an investment, but for me personally it was very, very much worth it. I'm very, very happy with it. I'm very, very happy with how it transfers to the paper. I am in love with the color. I am absolutely happy with the opacity of it. I'm very, very happy with it. I can't stress it enough. I wouldn't really recommend it if you're a beginner, because when I started out I was very much scared to waste a lot of pigment. As a starter, I would recommend to just buy a very cheap version wherever you can buy it. I don't really believe in having to own the most expensive art tools. I don't really, so I wouldn't really recommend it as a beginner thing. But if you have been working with watercolor and you want to step up your game, kind of, I would totally recommend this. I'm super in love with it, and I would definitely buy it again. Zara Viren is asking, how do you take photos of your art? It seems so clear and bright. I'm not really good at taking photos for my Instagram. I'm very much a noob when it comes to this. I'm also almost every day I'm basically too late to use daylight for my photos. But what I've personally learned so far how to take crisp, smooth photos is to take your photos in daylight, like prop yourself up in front of a window, put your artwork on a clear surface, clear/clean surface. It can be a wooden board, it can be white paper or a white paper block, or it can be your desk, it can be whatever. You can also put it onto the ground. A lot of people like to put like tiny little accessories next to it to make it like look more aesthetic, or however you would want to call it. I don't really believe in like having to take the perfect photo for it. I just want to take a photo of my artwork, and I want people to look at my artwork. I don't really care so much about like feed aesthetic, or like I need to have the perfect feed, or my feed has a theme or whatever. I just kind of like put my photos on there. A lot of times I have to take my photos at night because I'm up very late most of the time, because most of my clients are from America. So I'm very much drawing during the night and then taking photos with like my normal ceiling light, and then I have to go and I have to like tweak the colors a bit. Most of the time Instagram is enough. I just use a filter and then just put like the warmth down into cool, and then put the sharpness a bit up, maybe a tiny bit of contrast or saturation, but not too much because then it can go back into yellow. So I just try out a lot of different things. I don't really have a formula that works, or what I do all the time. I just tweak the things a bit, and when I'm happy with it, I post it, and if I think the light is too dark or it's still too yellow, I wait till the next day and then just take a photo the next day. Annie Duong is asking, do you think it's important to have a consistent style? It depends. It very much depends what basically is your goal. Do you just want to draw? Do you switch between traditional art and digital art a lot? Or do you feel that, like, do you jump from artist to artist, getting inspired by different artists and then kind of trying to draw what they draw? Because a lot of people do that. I think a consistent style can be important, but it's not a necessity. For me personally, I started to develop my own style 2 years ago, maybe 1 year ago. I can't even say that I have a style. Like, probably people would say otherwise, they recognize my art, but I don't really believe that I have my own consistent style. I just draw whatever I think is nice, and I draw whatever I think looks good. Yeah, I have a very specific kind of way to draw eyes, so that's maybe my style. I personally think style comes over time. I think that the more you draw, the more your style will manifest itself. I don't think that it's an absolute necessity to have a style. I don't think that, as long as you're not interested in publishing your work or doing commercial work or doing like working as a freelance artist, trying to push your own work, I don't think that it's very important to have your own style, because people don't really need to recognize your style amongst other artists' work. So it's kind of like a two-sided thing. It's kind of like a, I don't know, like I'm having a bit of trouble answering this, because people say, yeah, like, you need to have the style, but then what is style? Is it following what everyone else is doing? Like, if you wind back to what I said before about like this trend that happened with like the plant witches, is that like a style? Is that like a thing that you need to follow? Or is your style just drawing the things that you personally love? Is it copying things from other artists and then just kind of integrating it into your own art? Like, what is style? It's kind of a hard topic. It's kind of like not really that easy to answer. What I personally would recommend you to do is to just look at things that you like, look at artwork that you like, try to understand what exactly it is that you like, and then try and incorporate it into your own work and see how it changes your work. And that's kind of how I did it. Like, I saw a lot of like people drawing very wavy hair, and so I started drawing wavy hair like 2 years ago, and then just kind of started like experimenting, and then I realized, oh, I actually like doing this, and oh, I actually like drawing these like feathery lashes a lot. And then from being these like overly extreme feathery lashes, I kind of went back and I kind of muted that a bit, and then my own style started to like come through this entire process. And like, I personally, what I can say is keep drawing what you think is good, keep drawing what you think you like, keep drawing what you find beautiful, and your style will manifest over time. But don't think that like, I've been drawing for 20 years and my style is now my style and it will never evolve. I think that it's very important to realize that your style will evolve throughout your entire life, and you will change your style probably 100 times, and also that's okay. You can do whatever you want, and you can change your style as much as you want, and no one else should be in the position to tell you to do otherwise. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. Martia Poi is asking, how do you practice drawing hands? And I think it's important to know that I went to art school. I went to art school twice. First, before I went to university, before I did my apprenticeship, I went to an art school specifically, and I learned how to abstract things into shapes. And so when I look at hands, I don't really see hands. I see different shapes that I can draw. I see, oh, this could be a square, or like here, or this could go, oh, and this goes into here. Or like when I do this, I see, oh, like I can actually abstract this into like one specific shape, and then this is a shape, and this is a shape, and that's kind of what they teach you in art school or in art university, or whatever you study, like yada yada. It is important to be able to abstract the things that you see, and that's the way you would learn how to draw hands, is to abstract them into different shapes and then put it back together. And when you realize, or when you start to learn how to abstract this, you can go back into a realism and you can draw very realistic hands, or then decide to go into your own direction, draw it in your own style. And it's also a question that I get a lot, is like, or not a question, I get a lot of people saying like, oh, I really like your art and I've been using it as reference. And I'm just then kind of sitting there like, no, don't do that. Like, no. Like that is not how you will learn how to draw. And then what I usually tell those people is, it's very important to first learn the basics, which is abstract it, which is take a lot of reference from like from live drawing, or from photos, or from stock photos, and maybe read into a lot of tutorials on how to draw something properly before you go and you abstract it into your own style. AJ Latrice is asking, how do you set for commissions? I'm looking to start, but I have no clue what the proper way would be. So I have been doing commissions for about 10 months now, and what I've learned so far is be very clear about what you do, and you can kind of approach it two different ways. You can just write it into your bio that you're taking commissions. So I personally, for example, only do that. I don't really advertise it. Or you could make a post, you could advertise it, and then like get people to know what you're doing. I personally am not really interested in advertising my commissions, because I kind of am interested in wanting a very specific clients. I also can't really work with younger clients because of what I charge. So that is another big issue that is going on in the art community at the moment, is that people kind of undervalue their own work, and they kind of make these posts like, oh, like I'm doing this commission, I'm doing a full body, full color commission for $7. And I guess that is fine when you just started out doing what you're doing and you're like maybe 14, 15, but when you try to earn a living through this like I am, I can't really charge $7 for my work. So what I've done so far is just always inform the people that I charge a flat price for sketches, and that I charge a per hour wage for the rest of my work. And this has been going really well, and it also has kind of kept away the people that are trying to scam you. I've heard a lot of stories about people getting scammed, and I was personally very scared of it when I started doing commissions. So I've been very careful with advertising what I'm doing, and I also think that people who are genuinely interested in your work will see that you're open for commissions, and they will reach out to you on their own. So that's kind of how it has worked for me, and it has been working very well. So I guess that it's not really the traditional approach that a lot of other people do, but it has worked for me personally. And so it's up to you. You can be in people's faces, you can go and tell them every single day that you're doing commissions, you can make a story announcement. What worked for me personally is just have a tiny note in my bio saying that I am open for commissions, and then just kind of wait for people to reach out to me. because I'm busy with other things and I can't like go and just go and advertise for my work. So yeah. What else is there? There's also the question about how much I charge for commissions, and I charge as I said before, I charge a flat price for my sketches depending on how complex the sketches are. It ranges from $15 to $25, and I charge a hourly wage of $35 for the rest of my work. Usually it takes me around 4 to 5 hours to finish an artwork. That includes base color, detailing, and adding things like highlights or glitter or whatever it is. This has been working out really well for me. I really don't believe in like selling my art for cheap. I also don't really believe that anyone else should do this. I don't really think that that's the right way to approach it. I think we all should realize that, hey, the artist that I'm trying to commission is putting his lifetime into my commission, and I am not going to the bakery and telling the baker like, oh, can I have your bread for free? The baker also needs to be paid. Same goes for the retailer, same goes for your hairdresser. So why shouldn't you pay the artist for the work that they do? So I think it's very important to respect that an artist is charging what they do, and also not charging like a super cheap fee. And I don't really think that it's very acceptable to be rude towards the artist that is trying to make a living. And I've had this kind of things in the past, and all I can kind of do is like say I'm very sorry, but I can't go any cheaper. I will not go any cheaper. And I also don't really feel like my work is really valued if someone doesn't really want to pay anything for it. It is very important to understand that why an artist is charging what they do, and there are many different factors going into it. First of all, it's your experience. So for me personally, I've been drawing for 20 years. I started drawing when I was a small kid. I've been drawing more intensively for like 10 years, and I've been drawing professionally for 2 years now. And I think this time, like this amount of experience also goes into the price, and also goes into why I charge so much. And I personally don't really charge that much. There are people who charge way more, and that is absolutely acceptable. That is absolutely okay, and I think they should absolutely do that because they have way more experience than I do. And as I will go on with my work, also my price will increase. So yeah, so try to price your work appropriately. Maybe don't charge like $100 when you're like 15 and you haven't really had that much experience. But if you have been studying, if you have been graduating in arts, if you have a master's in arts, like you put all this time and money into studying, and so you should not be ashamed to charge a fair price for your work. I wanted to thank all of you so much for watching. I hope this was insightful. I hope it wasn't cringy or anything, because I'm still feeling a bit weird talking to a camera. I hope I can do this again in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.